Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Crafting with Christina for Two Scrapbook Friends. Hope everybody's having a great day today. We're going to have a little bit of fun today. So this is the card that we are going to be making today. You can choose any sentiment you want. I just thought this was really fun that says you are simply fabulous. So I have called this the Simply Fabulous card. So here's a kind of a whole over peek of everything that you're going to be needing for today's card. What we're concentrating mostly on is my favorite things. So I'm going to move some of this off to the side for a sec. We can dig it out. So the first thing we're using is called In Focus Floral Frames. So if I'm just going to hold something up to grab another thing here, you can see it a little bit better. Oh, that's probably very glare. But they have these great circular, they cut out, and I will show you those, of course. And they have all these great little just flowers, little lovely little vines, all sorts of things. These are really fantastic outline here. And as you can see, we're doing them in white with the background, so they really stand out. And then the second thing we're using is also by MFT, so my favorite things. And this is called the Slimline Stitched Circle. So this is actually made for slimline cards, but as you can see, we're going to be using it in a standard card here as well too. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the things that we're going to be using. Now we're doing a standard A2 card, which again is 4.25 by 5.5. That'll be your finished card. You're going to need score tape or liquid glue. You're definitely going to need liquid glue today because we need to glue these little pieces down here. Score tape is up to you if you want to attach your background by score tape, or you can use glue, whatever you want to use. So we use the standard 110 pound Neenah white cardstock for the card base. It's just a very thick, very nice thick card base here. So it comes in 8.5 by 11 sheets. All you're going to do is just slice it down the side, and it's going to look like this. You put your little score line down the center, fold it, and you have your card base here. You're also going to want some 80 pound Neenah Solar white cardstock because that's how we're going to do this background, and that's what I cut out these vines and these flowers with as well too. So you're going to need that. Black paper, again, I outlined this in black here, so any standard black paper, and you're also going to make some circles with it to put these behind there. So this is how I did the background. We're going to kind of play around with this as well too with the gel press. It is just a totally different way of doing a background, and it just gives it a very, well, you can go light or you can go heavy. It just gives it a very different look than doing your standard ink blending. It's a really fun tool. Then your brayer, you're going to need a brayer as well. That's what you're going to use with your gel press. Any die cutting machine, you're possibly going to need a shim because they're very intricate. When you get into very intricate things here, if a shim usually makes it stand out a little bit better. And if all else fails and you don't have a shim and you're having problems with intricate dies, I should show you this as well too. So it's by Sizzix, and it's a die brush and pick accessory kit. So you're just going to take this piece here. I have, you're just going to roll it. If you look on the back, it has a brush, and you can just roll it, put it on this foam piece here. And then you can roll it, and it takes all your little intricate pieces out. It has a magnet to pick up your, if you have smaller, which these ones aren't. And you can collect all your pieces. They have the pick, you can clean it. It is a really cool tool as well too. Just wanted to quickly show you that I'm not taking the whole thing apart because with my shim, I didn't actually need to use it. Now you can use any sentiment you want. Mine is from the Tailored Expressions, the Simple Strips background. I'm not going to cut another one out and go through all that today because I know we've shown you guys this many times as well too. But Tailored also has, as you can see, I have 5 of them now. They have this full stamp. So all you're going to do with this one, I just heat embossed it. I did white embossing. I stamped it on a black piece of paper with white. And then all you're going to do is take your die here, you line them up, you cut them out, and then you've got all sorts of different, they also have the case here, as you can see, that carry these things perfectly. So as you can see, I did some of them in white already with black, and then I also did some of them in black with the white embossings, which is what I used here. So I still have the Simply Fabulous in the white with the black, and actually I embossed all these instead of just inked, but you can do whatever you want with them. It's just a fun way just to have a whole pile of different sentiments on file that you can just quickly go grab, you're done. So anyways, that's the ones that I used. I just wanted to quickly show you that. Now, once we've got that, we can use any crystals or sequins. I am using, it's from Studia Katia. It's just called Silver Crystals. But anything you have, if it's sequins, just to add a little bit of extra to the card, that's what I'm using there. I'm going to put those off to the side. And the inks that I'm using for the background for the gel press is Citron, or Citrine, however you say it, Melon Orange, and Bubblegum. So they're all by the Stamp Market. So anyways, this is the list of stuff that you are going to need to make this card along with me today. So I'm going to put that aside and then let's get started. So first things first, I'm going to move these things off here. We're going to do the gel press in a second, but let's get everything else nicely prepped. So first, as I said, make sure you get your card background. So your 110 pound Neenah, cut it in half, score it, fold it. You've got your background piece. Then what you're going to need to do is grab a black, any black that you have here. And you're going to be cutting your black piece down here to fit into your card base. So you're going to grab your black piece and you're going to cut it down. I've already cut, as you can see, I've already cut mine down, but it's going to be cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because you want it to be the exact, I'm going to put this in the frame as well too so you can see it. You want it to be the exact same size as your card base. So once you have your black piece cut down, 4 1/4, 5 1/2, you're going to put score tape on the back or you're going to glue it. And you may as well right away, now that we're at it, I'm going to attach it to your card base. I like to use tweezers when I'm using my score tape because it just gets underneath it because they're super, super sharp. And it just takes all the tape off so easy. So now we've got this. So now you're just going to line it up. As I said, I'm going to put this up into the top corner here. I like to hold it down. And before I press anything else down, as you can see, you can still move it around a little bit. So now I'm just going to line it up with the other side, press down here, and then move over. And now we've got it perfectly on your card base. So for now, you're just going to set this aside. Now we're going to cut out all the pieces and everything that we need before we get into the gel press. So with your leftover black piece that you have here, I've already cut that part out, but you're just going to grab your die cut here. Okay, you're going to put this onto whatever, I use the Gemini. I don't know whatever die cutting system you guys have. So again, you're going to have your regular plate if you're using a Gemini, your regular plate, your plastic shim, your magnet. You're going to put this piece down here. You're going to grab your black. You're going to stick this down here and then your finished plate and stick it through your machine. And when it cuts out, and then what I should have done is actually, I should have made this a little bit bigger because I could have used this as a background for a card, but I just used an old piece that had a tear and everything in it. But now you're going to have 3, and you only need 2. So really, if you only have a small piece that only needs 2, then just cut out 2 of them because you don't need 3. You only need 2. But you're going to be left with 3 circles, and that's what we're going to need after. You only need 2 of them. We're going to put those off to the side. So now that you've got this thing all cut out here, next thing to do is we're going to cut out the white. So you're going to grab a piece of whatever white you want to use for this. If you want to use textured, by all means use textured. I'm just using just the standard 80 pound Neenah Solar White. So now is when you want to add, if you're using the Gemini, I would highly recommend it if you have the shim. Otherwise, maybe stick a couple pieces of cardstock underneath it. But underneath, between my plastic and my magnet, I actually have the metal shim. It just helps when you're cutting very intricate pieces. So now you're going to put these through. And as you can see, I haven't even taken my snips yet and taken them apart. I just thought, hey, this is perfect. Great. It sits great in 4. I don't really need to take them apart yet. So now you're going to put those on and you're going to center those. Your magnet shim is underneath, or your silver shim's underneath there, underneath your magnet board. Okay, now you're just going to stick your cardstock on top. And you're going to put your top piece on here. And now I'm going to grab my Gemini, just so you know what it sounds like and stuff when it goes through. Because we have that shim in there, it's gonna sound a little, see how it sounds almost like it's a little harder to go through? And that's totally fine. All it's doing is because it has those dies where you'd normally kind of go through it just fine, it has a little bit harder. It's just, you can tell that it's cutting out everything to basically perfection when you see. So when you're going to cut these out, I'm going to throw these pieces in the garbage right away or they're going to be on my floor. And I really don't want to have to vacuum yet again. So now, as you can see, when you do the shim, because when I didn't do the shim, they'd probably be okay in a row of 4, but it wouldn't go to the sides very well. So this just cuts everything out perfectly. So now I'm just going to take all these pieces out here. And then you can grab, of course, your little pick. And if you have that other system here, if you're looking at that Sizzix to do with all your little ones here, it also has a pick on it right there with a lid. So otherwise, you're just going to take all your pieces out here. Grab these. So there's your one. See, and they just come out just beautifully. Take these ones out here. And you only need to pick, you just need to pick 2 of them. So you can do whatever. I just like to do all 4 at a time, just in case you want to use them for other cards, then they're actually cut. Okay, so again, I'm going to take this. Throw this in my garbage and throw these pieces off to the side for now. So now you've got your pieces that you need here. So I'm just going to kind of hold them up so you can see. And you're just going to take your little picky tool and just take out those other little pieces, unless you have that other Sizzix thing, which is also very handy because you just roll it and it takes all those pieces out. So you actually have 4 different pieces now. So once you've got those cut out, we are actually just going to put those off to the side. So we will get those things back out later. So next part of the card, we're actually going to make the background piece now. So this is really fun. Now, just so you know, your gel press, it will never come out the same way twice. It is definitely, it's just a very unique and it does whatever it wants, but it's pretty cool. So I'm going to be using the glass mat because it is a jelly. Let's pull it out and I'm going to show it to you. It's pretty cool. So it has the plastic on the back and the front, but I always take them both off. I like to, because I mean, if you're going to put it on something, it will move around. So that's why, and you can also, if you have a Misty, it sticks great to the Misty as well too. So I'm just going to put these pieces off to the side, but you see, it's just basically a thick gel. That's what this thing is. It's pretty neat what it can do. That's for sure. Okay. So I'm just going to stick this right here, right to the center of my Tim Holtz glass mat. So now you just get to play around with however you want to do this. Make sure you have a piece of paper ready. So I'm just using a half of my 80-pound Neenah. You don't need anything spectacular because you're not doing any blending or anything. You're doing all your blending and everything on here. You're not doing it on your paper. So you can use the 80-pound Neenah, no problem, or whatever paper you want to use. Now, I didn't want to go super dark when I did this one, so there's different ways to do this. Now, you also have to be careful because you don't, so you can roll it on here, then roll it on here. But what I do is I'm going to take my ink pad here, okay, and I'm just going to make a stripe across there. Now, if you want it to be darker, you're just going to you're going to take the pad and go down and down and down until you add a lot more color. But I didn't want this super vibrant. Now, I know you can't see it from there, but I can see that there's a line. So I don't want the yellow to get mixed into the orange. So I'm going to leave it down just a tiny little bit, like 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to put that next, just a stripe of the citrine down. Citrine, I don't even know how to say that. And then I'm going to go with the bubble gum for the last one. And again, put it down just like 1/8 of an inch and put a nice stripe across there. So that's really all you have to do. You can see it very little on there. You probably can't even see it on the camera, but I can see that there's 3 stripes of colors. And a lot of time you will not see a lot of the color until you pull it up on your paper and you realize, oh, that's really cool. So all you got to do now, I would actually have a piece of paper towel handy, just in case it gets to, if you put a lot of ink down, you can tell when it starts to get bubbly, and you don't want that. You want to keep braying over until the bubbles are gone, or you're not going to get a really nice pull from it. It's going to be very inky and dotty. So what you're going to do is you're just going to grab your brayer, and whatever size brayer, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to get all the fuzz off here. Should have done that before. So I'm just using my small one. I have a bigger one as well too, but I'm just using my small brayer here. Okay. So all you're going to do is you're just going to go and pick it up and just go back and forth, because you just want to make sure, and then you're going to start going down into the next color. And sometimes if I don't want like the orange to take over, then I'm just going to take a little bit off and then just start into the second one. Go up a little bit. Go down a little bit, and you're just going to go back and forth. And now I know I want to go into the pink, and I want to make sure that goes into the next color. And because I didn't put a massive amount of color on there, that's probably all you need to do. So all you're going to do is you're going to go back and forth till you know that there's no inky blobs or anything on it. Then all you're going to do, this is the best part, you're just going to put your piece of paper down, and you're just going to go over it with your fingers just to press down on top of your gel. And then it's basically going to be a surprise what's going to be on the other side. But how gorgeous is that? So as you can see, I didn't have as much as the pink of the pink down as I did the first time. So you can go a little bit heavier. If you want to put it back down again, you're more than welcome to. You just add more ink to it. We can even do that just to see go on the safe side here. I think I started, I don't even remember what color I started with, but anyways, pretty much all the ink is off there now anyways. So let's put a little bit more orange on the top. Then I'm going to put the citrine down the center, and bubblegum. And even if this time you don't line it up exactly right, it really doesn't matter. So now we're just going to go back and forth a little bit. And I'm actually going to keep the orange going a little bit more. And you're just going to go back and forth over top of it. Just a few times, just to make sure that it's nicely down. And now, I mean, you can kind of get an idea of where it goes, or you just put your paper down. And you can even just do this on the back of the paper. Like, you can play around with it as much as you want. How amazing is that background now? So we've got more of the orange, we've got yellow, and a lot more of the pink, but it also faded into the first one. So it's super cool. Now there's really no color left. I mean, you can double check it by just kind of going like this, and there's nothing really left on the plate. So you're just going to clean this. I sometimes just like to either just take, I didn't actually grab just a very damp, very, very, very lightly wet microfiber cloth. You can go with like a baby wipe. Just make sure that you take all the color out of it. Even here's a paper towel. And I know I've got, because I know I had colors down the side. And really, you're good to go. Put your finger over it. Okay, color is gone. I would go over it with just a very damp, very, very lightly damp cloth. But now you've got your background. Again, if you want to do different colors, you play around with it to your heart's content. Because now if you find that, you see how this has a line, because of course we were at the edge. But if you're starting to get lines in between your colors, you just have to make sure next time that you go and you blend over it and go over it a few more times with your brayer, because the more you go over it, like with this, it's going to blend your colors in together. So if you have solid lines in between there, it means that you didn't blend it. So just go over it a few more times and keep playing around with it, because I mean, really, it's a piece of paper cut in half, and you've got tons and tons and tons of paper. Just so play around with it. It's just so amazing what you can do with this. Okay, so I'm going to put this off to the side here. So move that down. And now we're going to put it together. So if you followed me, what you're going to do now is you're going to grab, you're just going to cut this piece now. Now the nice part as well is this is 5.5. and you're going to cut it down to 5 1/4 by 4, because we're going to take a 1/4 inch off. So you have an 1/8 inch around. So, but you can decide now, do you want it to be this way? Do you want it to be sideways? Do you want it to be facing up? You can choose whatever, but you have to make sure you choose before you cut it out. I'm going to do it very similar to what I did on here. So I know that I need this to be cut down to 4 inches. So again, you can see how much we're cutting off. If for some reason you like this side better, then go ahead and cut that side down. But I'm going to go 4 here. And then I know I've got 5 1/2. So I'm going to cut this down here. Oh, sorry, 5 1/4. And I'm going to put 5 1/4 here. And I think that's going to cut off too much of my pink. So I'm actually going to start cutting it off down here because I like the pink more than this. Is very similar coloring the way that I had done this one. So 5 1/4. So again, 4 inches by 5 1/4. And now you've got your background piece. So now you're going to get your card base that you've already put that down, and see now this is going to fit really nicely with an 1/8 of an inch around each side. So now you're going to grab score tape, or if you want to use glue, by all means you can use glue. You can also put foam tape behind this if you want this piece to stand out a little bit more. All a preference thing. I'm just going to put mine flat because I actually put my little foam squares on my sentiment here. Okay, so now we're just going to take these pieces off. And again, choose whatever way you want this to go. Totally up to you. I'm going to stick with the way that I had it the pinky before. Okay, and I'm going to press this down here. And now you've got your background piece. But do you see how, like, that's what I love about the gel plate instead of blending. You get all these little, almost like abnormalities into your background piece. And it is, because there's a little bit of like whiter here and whiter here. That's nothing like you can get with inking. You can only get this type of look on the gel press. It's pretty amazing. So now you're going to choose your 3 pieces, or your 2 pieces from before. So I'm going to grab, doesn't really matter, we can grab whatever ones we want, but if we want to do the same one, I'm going to put this one here, and then I'm going to grab this piece there. And now you're also going to grab your black circles. So really what you're going to do is you're going to move these off to the side, and I'm just going to put, I'm going to use my Lawn Fawn glue tube, right? And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue circle around the end, because I want this background. I don't, like, you can put these down here as well too. I just like the look of the black since I did the black background, just to make it stand, just to make them stand out a little bit. So you're going to put that around there. Now you're going to grab this. You're going to put this up top, somewhere around there. You choose wherever you want to do it. And now you're going to grab your pieces, your 2 other pieces that you want to use. And realistically, if you didn't want to do these black, you could just take your, these ones here, right? So you could have, before you put this down, you could, if you wanted them exactly that far apart, you could have just put this through and just make sure that it doesn't hit this. So this is definitely the easier way to do it. You could do it the other way, but then you have to be very careful not to cut it off. But anyways, this is, I find, the easiest way to do. Now, I like my little bottle that has the very precise tip on it for these littler pieces here. And I would also, it's a lot easier if you have your tweezers. I should have added more glue to this. So you're just going to add a little bit of glue to all around the outer edge, and just kind of quickly put it through. You don't have to go through the whole thing. You just need to do the outside of all these, unless of course you want them to stand out as well too. I've done that and it looks quite pretty. So I'm not going into all these little pieces here. And then now you're just going to decide exactly which way you want it around. But because these black pieces were cut out with a perfect circle, these fit exactly in with where that other die cut out those circles. They're the exact same inside. So this inside circle here is the exact same inside as what these ones are. So now you're just going to press that down, and now you're going to go into your second one. Okay, so now we're just going to put it around here. Make sure you get the whole edge. The insides aren't too much if you want to leave them so they're flapping, but just make sure you get the outside edge all down here. And then we're just going to put that down across here. Push that down so you know your glue's down on there. And there you go. So what you're going to do next is, again, you can do whatever you want with the rest of the card, but I'm going to put a few little gems down here. So I like to kind of put them down first, decide exactly where I want to put them. And grab a small one from here. I have all my gems in, I kind of have them all separated in that lovely little, it holds all your different crystals and gems. It's that tower. And I can't remember it off the top of my head. So if this is something of the tower that you're interested in to hold all your crystals, then you guys can email Carolyn and Shelby at Two Scrapbook Friends, and they'll be able to answer any of your questions about anything to do with any of the products or anything. You can do that. I will also ask Shelby to put it on my blog on the online store as well too for Two Scrapbook Friends. Okay, so now that I've kind of placed exactly where I want them, I'm just going to grab, this one's the Studio Cats. Yeah, there's a bunch of different wands. It's the embellishment wand. Okay, and I'm just going to put some glue down here. I'm going to push down here. And it's nice because this one also has that other tip where you can make sure it's down, right? So you just kind of press on the top of it and put it in there. And it just has a wax on the end of this, so it actually just really nicely, and you can use the end or not use the end, but it really, just to make sure it's pressed down. But these wax ends are so great because they just stick to all your little glittery pieces, and so much easier to put them on. Okay, then I'm going to move this one up here. I'm not going to bother pressing them down because it just takes up time. So now you've got these pieces all down here. Now your last decision is whatever sentiment you want to put on. And I mean, I can do something here like a note to make you smile. This is also a very nice one to put down. And I like the black with the, I'm actually going to put that on there right now. I like the black with the white embossing on there as well too. I just think it makes it stand out when you've got that black background, the black background there. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can put whatever sentiment, anything you've got in your stash that will go in there. You are good to go. Okay, so now you're just going to, and again, I'm using my little foam squares, and I'm putting my foam squares on the back. And then I'm just going to center this into the card here and press it down. And now you've got a beautiful and totally unique, because as you can see, I used the same colors, but they came out a little bit different. So it all depends on how you put it together on your jelly plate, and you will always have a very unique background on here. So anyways, hope you guys had some fun. If you have a jelly plate, trust me, go on YouTube. There is so many different ways to use this thing. It is absolutely fantastic, and it's a lot of fun. So hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.